'Twas a week before Christmas, here on the top floor. The holiday cluster, I couldn't take much more. Classes twice a week, church service 3, then work every day. Nope, that's it, I'm beat. Most of the residents were heading home till the spring, but for me, this is home now, so at least no traveling. The stockings were hung on the window with care, hoping maybe, just maybe, we might afford presents this year. I got home from work, feeling tired and dead, slipped off my shoes, and flopped right on my bed. When out from the living room there arose such a clatter, I fell off the bed, fearing what was the matter. I crept out of my room, fists poised to fight, to see what had happened on this quiet night. I didn't see the intruder, or a busted down door, just all my DVDs scattered over the floor.
Well, that would explain it,
I thought to myself.
My cat must have jumped and knocked them all off the shelf.
So I knelt down and started to put them all right, when suddenly I spotted an unusual sight. Among all the movies I'd seen there before, I saw one that hadn't been bought from the store. It was unlabeled, unmarked, just a blank DVD, with a simple blue jewel case that screamed, "Watch me! Watch me!" So, tired though I was, I plopped down on the floor, put in the DVD, and with a click...
Oh, dear Lord.
If it's not completely obvious from the fact that I've put one of his skits in every one of my reviews so far, I'm a huge fan of the Nostalgia Critic. I've done cosplays, made fan art, haven't met the man yet, but it's on my bucket list. And hopefully I can get him to sign my Nostalgia Critic hat. The first review I'd ever watched of his was actually one of his Christmas specials where he declared he had found the worst Christmas movie of all time.
That's right, I found it. I found the absolute worst Christmas special of all time. Hands down, no comparison, Yuletide crap! It's called The Christmas Tree.
Oh, Mr. Critic, if only that were true. Don't get me wrong, The Christmas Tree is atrocious, with ugly animation, below subpar voice acting, and a rushed, nonsensical Deus Ex Machina ending, but is it the worst? Well, at least A Christmas Tree still has a story! Granted, it's a bad one and it makes no sense, but at least it still has some semblance of a plot and kind of characters. What does this thing have? Well, it's moving pictures. Kind of. I guess I can give it that. But this movie and we have a bit of history. Around the time I was maybe a freshman in high school, my family hit a bit of a financial rough patch. Despite my dad working constantly, we weren't making ends meet. We had to be on food stamps, state health insurance. It was the dark days. And this was around Christmas. In Michigan. So it was snowy, it was bitter cold, all the money we had to go toward heating the house and buying the cheapest food we could. There was no way we were going to be able to afford any sort of presents this year. For entertainment, about the only thing we could afford to do was go to the library. Once a week, my mom, my sister, and I would all climb into the truck and drive 20 miles or so from our little farm town to our county's main library branch, because they had the best selection of VHS tapes, which were all free to rent for a week back then. And that library in particular had an entire shelf dedicated to Christmas specials. As a family, we determined that we were going to watch every single one of them before Christmas. So, every week, we'd hike up there and pick out maybe 5 to 7 that we had never seen, and watch one every day until they all had to be returned, when we would then pick out the next week's worth. This was the time I was actually able to see a lot of what are considered classic Christmas specials for the first time. Movies like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Frosty the Snowman, The Little Drummer Boy. Because we didn't have American television, I had never seen these before. Then there was
The night before Christmas.
To be fair, there's not much to animate in this classic Christmas poem. But golly, this is less engaging than a baby Einstein video. And I've seen shorts made in the 60s based off the same source material that were all around better.
I'll start by saying that this special isn't technically a movie. Clocking in at only 49 minutes, it's really only a Christmas special, but for the sake of ease, I'm going to continue calling it a movie because that's the way I saw it.
The movie starts with the narrator reading the famous poem, which, of course, is an adaptation of the work, so you gotta start off with that. We zoom in on a still frame of a house, then on a Christmas tree. The art looks nice, you gotta give it that. Heck, if all the images are this nice to look at, maybe this short won't be so bad.
Not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse.
Okay, yes, that is a mouse. That's a mouse. We get it! It's asleep! Move on! Okay, he just stirred. That nullifies the "not a creature was moving" line.
Congratulations, movie! Not even 2 minutes in, and you failed!
Okay, you see how nice these backgrounds are? Well, watch this animation.
Yeah, that's right. It's the same handful of frames, repeated over and over, and then reversed and repeated over and over.
So, after we're done creepily watching the mouse sleep, we move on to creepily watch the children sleep. This shot goes on for half a minute, not including the trippy dream sequence, and it's just children laying in bed. And they roll over. And they roll back.
This is not interesting. This is the equivalent of watching security footage of a white wall. And unless you are some creep that just likes to watch children sleep, this is boring.
The animation isn't even good. It's just the same roll. Over and over. Then reversed over and over.
This is a cheap and lazy trick. Yes, I've done it in my animations before, but at least I try to change it up a little.
Then, if you know how the poem goes...
The children were nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of sugar plums danced in their heads.
That's right, we get to see the sugar plums dancing. Oh, goody.
And if you thought the last scene was painfully long and awkward, guess what? This scene is triple that. 1.5 minutes of nothing but fruit bouncing and spinning.
Granted, VeggieTales was a lot of vegetables bouncing and singing too, but at least it was interesting!
Here's the plums, popping out of the children's heads. And I can't help but wonder, what is the deal with this one? I mean, these three are at least seem to be bobbing to the music a little, but this one? This scene just drones on and on and on. You would think there would be some sort of change to it, some sort of variation, but no! It's just the same clanging cymbals over and over on top of this ugly and repetitive animation for 1.5 minutes.
You know how sometimes electric pianos come installed with simple beats that can help you jazz up a tune you're making? That's what this sounds like. It sounds like someone just heard that on an electric piano and thought, oh my gosh, this is perfect for my movie. No composition required. Sheesh, I have no talent for making music, and even I can tell that something sounds good or not.
So after we're finally done Freddy Kruegering these kids' weird dreams, we get back to the poem.
Mamma in her kerchief and I, in my cap, had just settled down for a long winter's nap. Out on the lawn there arose such a clatter. I sprang from my bed to see what was the matter. Away to the window I flew like a flash, tore open the shutters, and threw up the sash.
Okay, it still looks peaceful. Nothing is there. Still nothing. Oh, there we go! Oh wait, they're still flying? What made such a clatter then? A sonic boom? A wormhole from where they beamed in?
Is Santa an alien? I'm thinking too much about this, aren't I?
Come on! Come on! Come on! Come.
More rapid than eagles, his coursers they came.
Come on! Come on!
Dude, stop snapping the reins on them. They're going as fast as they can. You jerk.
There, look at Dasher. He looks about ready to buck Santa's yoke off any second. And for crying out loud, stop yelling!
I thought you were supposed to be quiet, sneaking around houses to make sure you weren't heard, not announcing your presence to the world. Sheesh, I think I just figured out what clatter the narrator was talking about.
Now let's talk about reindeer designs for a moment. If you're a budding artist, or learning animation, or character designing, do not make deer look like this. These are freaking scary!
And where's Rudolph in all of this? Oh, I bet these are those reindeer games that he's not allowed to participate in. Don't worry, Rudolph, you really don't want this on your resume anyway.
So they finally land, Santa pushing them faster the entire time, and Santa starts getting ready for his descent down the chimney. Oh, no, wait, he has time to smoke a pipe first.
Well, by all means, Santa, take a smoke break. It's not like you have a deadline or something.
Sheesh, at least I can say he's considerate enough not to smoke in people's houses, but still. So Santa puffs away, giving himself lung cancer and irritating the poor reindeer's asthma without so much as an apology.
Dasher, just quit. He's not worth it.
Now, Dasher, what is troubling you?
What are you thinking, nincompoop? You blew smoke in his face!
My hoofs are sore, and I'm cold.
We haven't time for this. The evening's just begun.
Oh, I see. You haven't time to tend to your animals, but you have time to stop and smoke your pipe.
Where's a PETA representative when you need one?
Must we have all this stop?
I'm not moving another step unless Prancer stops kicking me. He's got silly, skinny legs and big hooves.
No, I haven't. Anyway, you keep jabbing me with your antlers.
Kids, don't make me come back there.
Seriously though, Santa, check their harnesses at least. They're probably too tight and are pinching from the way Dancer keeps kicking.
Or at the very least, invest in some blankets or something. Jeez, this animal cruelty is off the charts.
My goodness, this is hardly the way to carry on. It's Christmas Eve. Besides, we have a few calls to make yet.
How many?
Well, now. Let me see. Yes, and of course there's, and all those down. Plus, of course, all those. And those. Oh, and finally, must remember that makes 2,004,093. I think.
No problem. It may be no problem for you, Comet, but you're not up here at the front. We have to work twice as hard as you.
That's right. But we have to put up with all your tugging and pulling. It's difficult for us to try to keep in line. You're quite trying enough, my dear.
Okay, now you guys are just whining. I felt a little bad for you before, but now you're pushing it a tad.
Come along, come along. I've got all those stockings to fill. I can't be doing with all this bickering. And what's the matter with you two? Donner, Blitzen, you're both rather quiet.
Blitzen's homesick.
Oh, I forgot these two.
Yes, this is Donner and Blitzen, and Donner is crying because he is homesick.
Yes, I'm afraid so.
It's just that I wanted to be back at home for Christmas morning.
Seriously, how old are you? Judging from the size of your antlers, what, 3? You've done this before and you're not even gone an entire day. Suck it up, you pansy!
Oh, is that it? Well, we can soon fix that. We'll all work twice as hard and twice as fast. Won't we?
Yes, of course we will.
Of course we will.
You see, we'll have you back home in a jiff. I've just got to finish this job, and we'll be off. Then you'll be in time for a happy Christmas.
Whoa!
You killed him.
Did not.
Well, it looks like the narrator is Santa now.
No, Santa survives. He catches himself on the gutter, but drops all his packages, so the reindeer begrudgingly help him pick them up.
Dear.
Come on, everyone. Come on, everyone. We must help him out, or we'll never finish this in time for Blitzen to be with his family. Come on.
Oh, dear.
Oh, dear. It looks as if he's going to need our help again.
Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Oh,
Man, Santa is kind of a dunce in this special, isn't he? This scene just goes on and on. Santa slips, the reindeer have to help him. Santa slips and the reindeer have to help him. Santa slips and the reindeer have to help him. It's just going on and on. It adds nothing to the story, just pointless blather that just goes on and on and on.
There is one thing I could say about that scene, though. It was the closest thing to being interesting that the special has given us so far. It had at least characters and dialogue and some character traits. They were boring, forgettable traits and dialogue, but at least they were a semblance of something. Did you like that? Did you like that little bit of half effort this movie put in? Well, I hope you got your penny's worth, because that is the only time we will ever see it again.
As I drew in my head and was turning around, down the chimney St. Nicholas came with a bound. He was dressed all in fur, from his head to his foot, and his clothes were all tarnished with ashes and soot.
Yeah, full of ashes and soot. I'm sure Mrs. Claus loves that. Do you know how hard ashes are to get out of fur?
His eyes, how they twinkled. His dimples, how merry. His droll little mouth was drawn up like a bow, and his beard on his chin was as white as the snow.
Oh no, not the mouse again.
Oh. Oh. Oh.
Oh, you pathetic, materialistic, whiny little brat! You don't deserve a present! You deserve a mousetrap to snap on your head! You better appreciate Santa's generosity because I wouldn't give you coal! Do you hear me? You get coal! You miserable, disease-ridden, good-for-nothing rodent! You cat food not worthy of the hole you live in! Of the food you steal! My gosh! Ahem. Sorry about that. Whiny brattiness annoys me. Moving on.
The stump of a pipe he held tight in his teeth, and the smoke, it encircled his head like a wreath.
Wait, so Santa is smoking in other people's houses too? What a jerk.
He was chubby and plump, a right jolly old elf. And I laughed when I saw him, in spite of myself.
Oh, come now, Mr. Narrator, that's just rude. Oh, okay, Santa, I know it was rude, but no need to steal his soul.
A wink of his eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread. And laying his finger aside of his nose, and giving a nod, up the chimney he rose. He sprang to his sleigh. To his team gave a whistle. And away they all flew like the down of a thistle. But I heard him exclaim, ere he drove out of sight, "Happy Christmas to all, and to all a good night."
Happy Christmas!
Whoa, wait, that was a jump in animation. Yeah, they just jump cut the roll over again, hoping we wouldn't notice. My gosh, they were too lazy to even draw the little boy laying down again.
That was a new low movie. A new low.
In the morning, all the kids wake up to find their toys, which is all good and fine, but what are they even doing? This kid just keeps pecking at this spinning thing, and this kid, I think, has the makings of a psychopath. He's just violently shaking his teddy bear.
Fishy! Fishy! Wake up! Why are you sleeping?
So that was The Night Before Christmas by Acme. And oh my gosh.
The animation was atrocious. What voice acting there was hardly half effort. The story was about as interesting as a saltine cracker. The music was repetitive and grating. The only thing that was not absolutely horrible were the backgrounds. But the stuff on top of it was awful. I can't believe someone made this and said it was okay to send out like this.
And what surprised me more is that there are people out there who actually like this abomination. Yeah, people actually think this is good. I'm sorry, I'm not usually one to question people's tastes in entertainment, but
I can't let this one go. I have too many question marks floating around in my head. How could anyone think this thing is acceptable? How does this thing give you the warm and fuzzy feeling the season is supposed to convey?
I'm sorry, but this thing is really, really bad. In his review of what he claims to be the worst Christmas special ever, the Nostalgia Critic made a point that I agree with. He said that the spirit of the holidays isn't in the actual holiday you celebrate, but in the effort you put into it.
I'll tell you what Christmas is. Christmas is effort. It's putting effort into that kindness. It's putting effort into that sharing. It's putting effort into that loving. Because anyone can just give something. Anyone can just buy something, whether it costs $1 million if you're rich or nothing if you're poor. But by God, it's the effort you put into it.
I think that this is partly the reason the special sucks so badly, because you can see in every single frame, you can see that not a single lick of care was given to any of this. And instead of giving you a happy, warm feeling, it makes you feel cold confusion, or even a big, empty nothing at all.
Though I agree with Mr. Walker's comment, I want to add on to it a little. A lot of what we call the Christmas spirit comes not only from the effort we put into it, but in the slowing down and enjoying the company of people we care about.
As I said before, when I first saw this special, my family was having a really hard time. We couldn't afford presents, we didn't know where we were going to get our next meal most nights, but despite this, that Christmas was the best one I've ever had. Due to our hardship, we grew closer. I have a lot of fun and funny memories of trying the new, weird, and random stuff we got from the soup kitchen. A lot of our friends and acquaintances got together to give us things we needed. This was the first time for me to see a lot of Christmas specials I'd heard about but never watched.
And this Christmas isn't my favorite because of all the cool things I got, but because I got to spend this time with my family and friends. And the frugalness I learned during these days has helped me even today. So before you let yourself get flustered with all the stress of the holidays, take a step back and remember what this season is actually supposed to be about, whether you're celebrating the birth of Jesus or not. So from my little family to yours, have a very Merry Christmas. Have a safe and happy New Year, and I'll see you next year. Make some memories.
And we're gonna talk about some of our favorite Christmas specials, some of our not favorite. Die Hard. We're done. And then we're gonna open up to you guys, and we're gonna hear some of your favorites and least favorites and stuff like that. Because this is a great holiday, but sometimes it's hard to like because stress catches up and the real world catches up, and it just becomes crazy. So,
and if you have that Hanukkah or Ramadan special you want to share,
please do. One of the things that I always say, there's that time, we always talk about the war on Christmas, how you used to have to say Happy Holidays, and everyone's like, screw that. My answer to that was always, well, great, you say Happy Holidays, great, I don't care. But if somebody wishes me a Merry Christmas, I'll say Merry Christmas back. I'll go to someone, I'll say Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Because that's what I like to celebrate. But someone else might say Happy Hanukkah.
Happy Hanukkah.
Thank you. I would never say, no, I celebrate Christmas. So I am so honored when somebody wishes me anything that they hold so dear. And, whatever
Happy my
holiday
birthday.
it is. If someone's like, Hail Satan, I'd be like, Merry Christmas.
Happy my birthday,
So it's one of those things where whatever you celebrate, whatever you hold dear, I kind of feel like that's what this time of year is about. And I feel like that's what the best Christmas specials are trying to accomplish. Even ones that don't have kind of like the traditional Christmas stuff. Christmas. Yeah, Christmas. Oh, okay, that one didn't quite work.